It is 2 o'clock in the morning. You are sitting alone at your kitchen table. The house around you is completely silent. Chosen one. You are staring at the darkness outside your window, and you are carrying a heavy, quiet ache in your chest. It is the weight of a decision you made in a moment of panic. It is the path you chose when you felt overwhelmed. You thought you were saving yourself. You thought you were taking control of your own destiny. But as you sit in the silence, you realize the truth. You have walked away from the place of His peace. You have stepped outside the boundary of His plan. And now, the silence feels heavy. The darkness feels thick. And your mind is racing with a single, terrifying question. Have I ruined everything? Have I taken a turn that God cannot correct? For weeks, you have tried to convince yourself that you are fine. You have tried to stay busy. You have tried to fill your calendar with tasks. You have tried to drown out the quiet voice in your spirit. You told yourself that you had no other option. You told yourself that God was taking too long. You believed that if you did not act, no one would. So you made the deal. You signed the contract. You entered the relationship. You made the choice that your flesh desired. But the moment you stepped onto that new path, the peace vanished. The constant, comforting presence of the Holy Spirit went quiet. In its place, a restless anxiety has settled in your soul. You feel like a traveler who has lost the map. You feel like an actor who has forgotten the script. And the enemy of your soul is right there beside you. He whispers to you in the dark. He tells you that you have disqualified yourself. He tells you that God has closed the door. He wants you to believe that you are on your own now. He whispers that your detour is permanent. He tells you that God has washed His hands of you. And you look at the path ahead and you feel only dread. You wonder if your mistake has rewritten your entire future. You fear that the promise God gave you is gone forever. But you must understand the true nature of this restlessness. The panic you feel is not the sign of His rejection. The anxiety in your chest is not the evidence of His abandonment. It is, in truth, the magnetic pull of His grace. The discomfort you feel is the proof that you do not belong in this detour. You cannot find rest here because this is not your home. Your spirit is agitated because you were built for His presence. In his classic book, The Problem of Pain, C.S. Lewis wrote profoundly about how God communicates. He wrote that we can ignore even pleasure, but pain insists upon being attended to. Lewis famously wrote, God whispers to us in our pleasures, speaks in our conscience, but shouts in our pains. It is His megaphone to rouse a deaf world. Let this brilliant truth wash over your troubled mind tonight. The discomfort you feel in this detour is God's megaphone. The quiet ache in your spirit is His voice shouting through the static. He is not shouting in anger. He is shouting in love. He is using the pain of your restlessness to rouse you. He allows the detour to feel dry and empty. He allows the forced doors to lead to dead ends. He does this because He loves you too much to let you be comfortable in a detour. If you could find peace outside His plan, you would never return. If you could find satisfaction in the dry desert, you would never seek the living water. So He makes the dry land bite. He makes the foreign territory uncomfortable. The panic you feel at 2 a.m. is actually His hand pulling the cord. It is the shepherd refusing to let you sleep in the wolf's territory. He is shouting through your anxiety, come back, you do not belong here. This path is too small for you. Do not look at your restlessness as a curse. It is the greatest blessing you could receive. It is the proof that you are still His. If you were not His, your conscience would be quiet. If you were not His, you could enjoy the detour without a care. But you cannot. The megaphone is sounding. The alarm is ringing in your soul. and the Master is calling you back to the main road. The Sovereign Lord has watched this human escape attempt play out before. He has seen his children pack their bags and head for the border. In the book of the prophet Jonah, chapter 1 verse 3, we read, "But Jonah ran away from the Lord and headed for Tarshish. He went down to Joppa, where he found a ship bound for that port. After paying the fare, he went aboard and sailed for Tarshish to flee from the Lord." Let these ancient, holy words remind you of your own journey. Like Jonah, you felt the pressure of the calling. You felt the difficulty of the path God laid out. And like Jonah, you decided to run. You went down to Joppa. You found a ship that seemed to offer an easy escape. You paid the fare. You spent your energy, your time, and your money to build a detour. You stepped onto the ship, thinking you had solved your problem. You thought, "Now I can rest." But the scriptures tell us that the Lord did not let the ship sail in peace. He sent a great wind upon the sea. He sent a violent storm that threatened to break the ship apart. You are living in the storm right now. The storm in your career, the storm in your mind, the storm in your relationships. You thought the storm was the enemy trying to destroy you, but it was not the enemy. It was the Lord. The storm was his wind. The waves were his hand. He sent the storm because he loved Jonah too much to let him reach Tarshish. Tarshish was a place of pagan silence, a place of spiritual death. If Jonah had reached Tarshish, he would have lost his calling. So God broke the ship to save the prophet. He's breaking your ship right now. He is shaking the detour you paid so much to build. He is blowing his wind against your self-made security. He is doing it to show you that you cannot flee from his presence. Your ticket to Tarshish was a waste of money. Your escape plan was an illusion. The ship is sinking, but you are being saved. The storm is your invitation to turn around. He is standing in the middle of the wind, calling you by name. He is ready to catch you the moment you jump into his grace. If you are ready to listen to his megaphone today, if you are ready to step off the ship to Tarshish and return to his presence, make this your solemn declaration of surrender. Leave a comment below. He calls me back. Write it now. He calls me back. And let the peace of his voice quiet the storm in you. Chosen one. You are standing in front of a wall you cannot climb. You forced the door open, hoping to find a shortcut. You worked night and day to build a way out of your trouble. But now, you are staring at a complete dead end. The project failed. The relationship turned cold. The opportunity evaporated into thin air. And you feel a deep, burning shame in your chest. You think, I have messed up God's plan for my life. I have derailed the destiny he promised me. He must be looking down on me with disappointment and anger. You picture him sitting on his throne, shaking his head in frustration. You believe you have created a problem that is too complex for him to solve. But right now, I want you to close your eyes. I want you to take a deep, slow breath, and I want you to hear the sound coming from the heavens. It is not the sound of thunder. It is not the sound of condemnation. It is, in truth, the sound of laughter. God is laughing. He is not laughing at your pain. He is not mocking your struggle. He is laughing at the absolute insignificance of your ability to ruin his plan. He is amused by the thought that you could ever derail his purpose. Your mistake, as big as it feels to you, is like a drop of water in his ocean. Your wrong turn is like a tiny speck of dust on his map. He is laughing because he knows how the story ends. He is laughing because he has already written the victory page. And he knows that your little detour is about to run straight into his setup. Let the relief of his laughter wash over your heavy heart today. The weight of the universe is not on your shoulders. You do not have the power to defeat his sovereign will. In his deep and brilliant book, The Problem of Pain, C.S. Lewis wrote about the futility of human rebellion. He wrote about a man trying to escape the glory of God. Lewis wrote, "A man can no more diminish God's glory by refusing to worship him than a lunatic can shut out the sun." By scribbling the word darkness on the walls of his cell, let this powerful, vivid image clear the confusion in your mind. You are like that man in the cell. In your panic, you grabbed a crayon. You scribbled the word ruin across your life. You scribbled failure, disqualification, and defeat on the walls of your circumstances. And then you sat down in the dark, trembling with fear. You thought, "I have turned off the sun. I have destroyed the light of God's favor." But the sun does not care what is written on the wall of the cell. The sun continues to shine in its brilliant, burning glory. The sun is unaffected by the scribble of the lunatic, and God's plan for your life is unaffected by your panic. Your mistakes cannot diminish His glory. Your bad decisions cannot cancel His promises. He did not choose you because you were perfect. He did not write your destiny based on your flawless performance. He chose you because of His sovereign grace. So stop staring at the scribbles on the wall. Stop believing that your crayon marks have blocked out the sun of His love. The sun is still shining on you. The grace of God is still active, and the door of the cell is not even locked. He is waiting for you to look up from the wall and step out into the light. The scribble was only temporary, but His light is eternal. The ancient psalmists understood this cosmic reality of divine sovereignty. They knew that the kings of the earth and the rulers of men plan in vain. In the second Psalm, verse 4, we read this powerful truth. The one enthroned in heaven laughs. The Lord scoffs at them. Let these sovereign, comforting words settle your anxious spirit. The one enthroned in heaven laughs. Why does He laugh? Because the plans of men are so small compared to His power. The rulers of the earth take counsel together against the Lord. They try to break His chains and cast away His cords. They build their empires and write their laws, thinking they are in control. But God looks down from His throne and He laughs. He does not laugh in malice. He laughs in absolute, effortless victory. And this is the same laughter He has for your worries today. The enemy tells you that your financial mistake is the end of the road. God laughs. The enemy tells you that your broken relationship has ruined your family forever. God laughs. The enemy tells you that you've wasted too many years to be useful. God laughs. His laughter is the proof that the enemy's warnings are lies. His laughter is the guarantee that your detour is not a dead end. It is the laughter of a father who has already solved the problem you are crying about. He knows that He has already prepared the way out. He knows that He has already orchestrated the restoration. So, let go of the panic of your self-reliance today. Stop trying to defend your mistakes or fix them in your own strength. Rest in the absolute security of His laughter. If you are ready to let His sovereignty carry you, if you are ready to believe that His plan is bigger than your mistakes, make this your declaration of faith. Leave a comment below. His plan stands. Write it now. His plan stands. And let the joy of His victory fill your heart today. Chosen one. You are looking at the wreckage of your own hands. You are standing in the middle of a pile of dust, and you feel the cold, heavy weight of regret. You remember the warning signs you ignored. You remember the check in your spirit that you chose to ignore. You think, if only I had waited. If only I had listened to His voice. I've broken my own life, and the pieces are too small to put back together. You believe that you have forced God to choose a second-class destiny for you. You think He has had to throw away His original blueprint. You believe you are now living in the ruins of His backup plan. But you must understand the true capacity of the master builder. God does not have a backup plan. He does not write a secondary, lower destiny because of your mistakes. His ultimate blueprint is so vast, so sovereign, and so secure. It was designed with your detours already integrated. He knew every wrong turn you would take before you took it. He saw every failure you would make before you were born, and He has already factored those moments into His final victory. Your mistakes are not the end of the story. They are, in truth, the raw material He uses to show His glory. He does not just throw away the broken pieces. He sweeps the dust together, and He begins to rebuild. He is not interested in simply returning you to where you were. He is preparing to take you to a place of greater strength. The wreckage of your plans is only the empty space He needs to build. In his classic and beloved book, Mere Christianity, C.S. Lewis shared a famous metaphor about this painful process. He wrote that we must imagine ourselves as a living house. God comes in to rebuild that house. At first, you understand what He is doing. He is fixing the drains and stopping the leaks. You know, those repairs are necessary, so you are not surprised. But suddenly, the builder starts knocking the house about in a way that hurts terribly. He starts smashing walls, pulling up floors, and building new wings. You thought you were being made into a decent little cottage where you could live in peace. But Lewis wrote, He is building a palace. He intends to come and live in it Himself. Let this powerful architectural truth comfort your broken heart today. The demolition of your self-made cottage was not a tragedy. It was the necessary clearing of the ground. You tried to build a nice, quiet, comfortable life in your own strength. You tried to patch the leaks and keep the walls small, but God has no interest in letting you live in a tiny cottage. He wants to build a palace of His presence in your life. He allows your self-made structures to collapse because they are too small. He allows the hammer of circumstances to smash the walls you built in pride. He is not doing this to leave you homeless. He is doing this to expand your capacity. He is building a structure that is large enough to hold His glory. The rubble you are crying over today is the foundation of the palace of tomorrow. Do not try to rebuild the cottage. Let the small plans go. Trust the master architect who holds the hammer in his hands. He knows exactly what he is doing with the wreckage. The scriptures are filled with the testimonies of those whose detours were woven into God's design. They tell the story of Joseph, who was sold into slavery by his own brothers. Joseph spent years in prison, forgotten and abandoned in a foreign land. From a human perspective, his life was a series of tragic, irreversible detours. But when Joseph finally stood before his brothers as the Prime Minister of Egypt, he looked at their fear and he spoke these holy, sovereign words. In the book of Genesis, chapter 50, verse 20, Joseph declared, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good, to accomplish what is now being done." Let these ancient, victorious words secure your heart today. But God intended it for good. The people who hurt you had a plan. The enemy who attacked you had a plan. Even your own flesh had a plan when you stepped outside his path. But God's plan is the ultimate authority. He takes the evil intention of the enemy and he translates it into good. He takes the foolish decision of your past and he weaves it into his victory. He did not cause your mistake, but he will not waste it. He integrates the detour into the highway of his purpose. Your scars are being transformed into symbols of his grace. Your failures are being converted into stepping stones of his power. Nothing in your life is wasted when it is surrendered to his hands. So stop hiding your broken pieces from him. Stop trying to glue the cottage back together in secret. Bring the rubble to the altar today. Let the master architect have full control of the building site. If you are ready to let Him turn your ruins into a palace, if you are ready to believe that He intends your detour for your ultimate good, make this your declaration of trust. Leave a comment below. He redeems my steps. Write it now. He redeems my steps. And let the peace of His blueprint quiet your soul today. Chosen one. Have you ever tried to become ordinary again? Have you ever looked at the pressure of your calling and felt so tired that you just wanted to blend back into the crowd? You thought, I cannot carry this weight anymore. I want to go back to the way things were before I knew Him. I want to live a quiet, average life where no one demands anything of me. So you tried to slip back into your old habits. You tried to return to the places and the people of your past. You wanted to settle for a smaller, easier existence. But the moment you tried to cross the boundary, you felt a block. It was as if an invisible iron hand had closed the door. You tried to fit in, but you felt like an alien. You tried to participate in the old conversations, but the words tasted like ash. You tried to find comfort in the old pleasures, but they felt empty and hollow. You felt trapped. You felt frustrated. You cried out, why will God not just leave me alone? Why does He have to monitor every step I take? You believed that His constant correction was a sign of severity. You thought He was trying to restrict your freedom, but you must understand the holy boundary of His ownership. You cannot go back because He has already marked you as His. He has set a seal upon your heart that cannot be broken. His love is not a passive, weak emotion. It is a fierce, consuming fire. And He will not allow you to destroy yourself in the name of comfort. He blocks the doors to your past because He loves you too much to let you go backward. His grip is too tight to let you slide into the abyss. In his classic and challenging book, The Problem of Pain, C.S. Lewis wrote about the relentless nature of God's love. He explained that God's love is not a mere sentimental tolerance. It is a demanding, active force. Lewis wrote, God has paid us the intolerable compliment of loving us in the deepest, most tragic, most inexorable sense. Let these deep, demanding words pierce through your frustration today. The intolerable compliment. Why did Lewis call his love intolerable? Because it refuses to let us settle for less than our true purpose. If God loved you with a weak, passive love, He would let you run. He would let you sit in the mud pies of your compromise. He would look at your detour and say, if that is what they want, let them have it. But He loves you too much for that. His love is inexorable. It is relentless. It is like an artist who refuses to let the canvas remain half finished. It is like a father who refuses to let his child play in the middle of a busy highway. The blocks you feel in your life are the compliments of His love. The closed doors are the proof of His high estimation of your value. He will not let you settle for a cottage when He has planned a palace. He will not let you live like a servant when you are a child of the King. So do not fight the hand that blocks your exit. Do not resent the boundaries of His grace. His grip is not a prison. It is, in truth, your ultimate security. The fence He built around your life is there to keep the wolves out. The lock He placed on the door of your past is there to keep you safe. The psalmist knew the absolute, inescapable reality of this divine boundary. He tried to imagine a place where he could hide from the Creator's eyes. In the book of Psalms, chapter 139, verses 7 and 8, he cried out, where can I go from your spirit? Where can I flee from your presence? If I go up to the heavens, you are there. If I make my bed in the depths, you are there. Let these poetic, sovereign words quiet your searching soul today. Where can I flee from your presence? The answer is nowhere. If you sail to the highest heights, He is there. If you sink to the lowest depths of your own making, He is there. Even if you make your bed in the rubble of your mistakes, His presence is right beside you. You cannot outrun His grace. You cannot go to a place where His hand cannot reach you. You thought you had escaped His plan, but you only walked to the edge of His territory. And at the boundary line, you found Him waiting for you. He was there in the middle of your panic. He was there in the middle of your compromise. His hand was holding you even when you thought you were falling. So stop trying to find an exit from His love. Stop looking for a corner of the world where you can hide from His eyes. There is no such place, and you do not want to find it. The very presence you are trying to escape is the only source of your life. Yield to the grip that holds you. Rest in the boundary of His ownership today. If you are ready to stop running and trust the safety of His hand, if you are ready to declare that His grip is your sanctuary, make this your declaration of surrender. Leave a comment below. His grip is tight. Write it now. His grip is tight. And let the peace of His protection settle your heart today. Chosen one. Have you entered a season where everything has come to a grinding halt? You look around you and you see only stillness. The doors that were once open have swung closed. The plans that seemed so clear are now covered in fog. You feel as if you are sitting in a waiting room that has no exit. You watch others move forward in their careers, their families, and their dreams. And you think, I am being left behind. I am wasting my years in this quiet place. My wrong turn has put me on a shelf where God cannot use me. You feel a deep, growing restlessness in your spirit. You want to make something happen. You want to force a door open, to start a new project, to run in any direction. You believe that the silence of this season is a sign of His inactivity. But you must understand the holy architecture of the wilderness. The wilderness is not a place of punishment. It is, in truth, the place of your calibration. God has not forgotten you on the shelf. He has pulled you aside to reset your inner compass. For a long time, your compass was pointing toward the world's success. You were measuring your value by your speed, your progress, and your comfort. But God loves you too much to let you build a life on a false coordinate. He allows the wilderness to feel dry so that you will stop drinking from broken wells. He shuts down the noise of the crowd so that you can finally hear His whisper. The stillness is not a waste of time. It is the necessary preparation for the weight of your calling. He is aligning your desires with His blueprint before He steps on the gas. In his classic and profound book, Mere Christianity, C.S. Lewis wrote about the source of our deep restlessness. He explained that our earthly desires are only pointers to a greater reality. Lewis wrote, "If I find in myself a desire which no experience in this world can satisfy, the most probable explanation is that I was made for another world. Let this glorious realization quiet the panic of your waiting season today. I was made for another world." The restlessness you feel in the wilderness is not a sign of failure. It is the signature of your design. You were created by God, and your soul is too large to be satisfied by the temporary cups of this earth. When your self-made plans collapsed, you felt a sudden empty void. You tried to fill it with new activities, new relationships, and new worries. But the emptiness remained. It remained because it is a sacred space, reserved only for His presence. The wilderness is where He empties you of the world's false water. He makes the world feel incomplete because it is incomplete. He wants you to feel the homesickness of your spirit. He wants you to realize that no earthly success, no human approval can ever quiet the ache. Your compass is being realigned to the true north. You are learning to desire the giver more than the gift. You are learning to rest in His presence even when your hands are empty. Once you find your satisfaction in Him, you become dangerous to the enemy's kingdom. You can no longer be bought, and you can no longer be distracted. The wilderness is where you become unbreakable. The writer of the Proverbs carried this deep understanding of divine direction. He knew that while we plan our routes, the ultimate destination is in the hands of the Father. In the book of Proverbs, chapter 16, verse 9, we read, "In their hearts humans plan their course, but the Lord establishes their steps." Let these wise, sovereign words anchor your drifting heart today. But the Lord establishes their steps. Look back at your life. Think of the plans you drew up at your kitchen table. You had the timeline, the strategy, and the desired outcome. You thought you were walking down a straight, logical path. But then, the ground shifted. A door closed, a storm hit, or your own feet slipped. At the time, you thought it was a disaster. But now, with the eyes of faith, you can see the truth. The closed door was His protection. The detour was His redirection. You planned your course, but the Lord was establishing your steps. He was walking beside you, gently nudging you away from the cliff. He was overriding your decisions to save you from your own desires. He is doing the very same thing in your wilderness today. You want to take a step forward, but He is holding you still. You want to turn left, but He is pointing you right. He is not trying to confuse you. He is establishing your steps on a solid, eternal foundation. He is making sure that when you move in His power, not your own. So, let go of your timeline today. Stop trying to force the wilderness to end before its work is complete. Trust the timing of the Master Coordinator. If you are ready to let Him establish your steps, if you are ready to trust His direction, even in the silence of the waiting, make this your declaration of faith. Leave a comment below. I trust the path. Write it now. I trust the path. And let the peace of His timing quiet your anxious soul today. Chosen one. Are you ready to hand over the pen? Are you ready to stop writing your own story? You have spent years trying to design your own destiny. You have fought with all your might to build a good life. You have calculated the risks, managed the outcomes, and guarded your heart. But right now, in the quietness of this moment, you feel a shift. You look down at your hands, and you realize how tired they are. You are tired of steering the ship. You are tired of forcing the doors. You are tired of worrying about where the detour will end. You feel a deep, quiet peace settling over your mind. It is the peace of surrender. It is the realization that you no longer have to carry the weight of your destiny alone. Surrender is not the sign of defeat. It is, in truth, the key that unlocks your true life. You think, if I let go, what will happen to my future? Will I lose my freedom, my joy, and my dreams? The enemy whispers that surrender is the end of your story. He tells you that by giving up control, you are signing up for a life of boredom. He wants you to believe that the best parts of your life are behind you. But you must understand the glorious, celestial reality of your surrender. You are not ending the book. You are simply turning the page. The cottage that collapsed was only a temporary tent. The palace He is building is your eternal home. The chapters you wrote in panic were only the introduction. The author of your soul is ready to begin the real story. In the final breathtaking pages of his masterpiece, The Last Battle, C.S. Lewis wrote a magnificent description of this transition. He wrote about the characters who had crossed over into the true reality. He explained that their earthly adventures were only the cover of the book. Lewis wrote, "But for them, it was only the beginning of the real story. All their life in this world and all their adventures in Narnia had only been the cover and the title page. Now at last, they were beginning chapter 1 of the great story, which no one on earth has read, which goes on forever, in which every chapter is better than the one before. Let this glorious, hope-filled vision lift your weary spirit today. The life you have lived up to this point is only the cover of the book. The struggles, the closed doors, the wrong turns, and the dry wilderness, they were only the introduction. They were necessary to prepare you for the weight of the story that is about to unfold. Do not look back at the cover with regret or longing. Do not try to rewrite the chapters that have already been closed. Turn the page. Accept the invitation to step into chapter 1 of the great story. The architect who built the universe has written your destiny with his own blood. He has planned every detail, prepared every path, and secured every victory. And the story he has written for you does not end in defeat or disappointment. It is a story that goes on forever. And in his presence, every single chapter is better than the one before. The next season of your life will not be a repetition of the past. It will be an escalation of his glory, an increase of his peace, and a revelation of his power. Do not fear the unknown future. Trust the author who knows the end from the beginning. Let him write the next paragraph. The Apostle Paul, at the end of his long and challenging ministry, carried this focused, triumphant posture. He did not dwell on the trials he survived or the mistakes of his past. He kept his eyes fixed on the path ahead. In the book of Philippians, chapter 3, verse 14, he declared, "I press on toward the goal, to win the prize for which God has called me heavenward, in Christ Jesus." Let this prophetic decree of victory align your steps today. I press on toward the goal. Notice that Paul does not look back at his past achievements or his past mistakes. He does not cry over the cottages that collapsed. He presses forward, keeping his eyes fixed on the prize of his high calling. And the calling is not earthly, it is heavenward, drawing him into the very presence of Christ. This is your posture in this new season. You are not looking back at the crowd you left behind or the ship that sank. You are pressing on, following the voice of the shepherd who calls your name. The prize is not human approval or material success. The prize is Him. When you have Him, you have everything. When you say yes to Jesus, you step into the flow of His supernatural power. He will give you the strength to run the race, the wisdom to navigate the paths, and the grace to win. So, sign your name at the bottom of the blank page today. Hand the pen over to the master author. Let him write your future, your career, your family, and your destiny. If you are ready to turn the page, if you are ready to step into chapter 1 of the great story and say yes to His calling, make this your declaration of victory. Leave a comment below. My story begins today. Write it now. My story begins today. And let the joy of His eternal story flood your surrendered heart.